Hey everybody, this is JGB. Today we're going to be talking about the Giants draft class. It was an odd one, so let's just get straight into it.
With the 20th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Kadarius Toney, wide receiver, Florida.
So they do go offense.
I honestly didn't like this selection. I understand that Smith was not available at the original spot, but Micah Parsons was sitting there at 11 for them to take. They needed help at the linebacker position. They really didn't address it in this draft. Traded down, which I understand. You get more draft capital that way, but they didn't take the best player available. Darius was sitting right there, and they need help on the O-line to protect Jones. They have to go with receiver at 20, which is okay. Don't think it was as desperate a need as O-line or linebacker, but if you're going to go with the first round, why Toney? I like Toney and everything, but guys like Bateman and Rondale Moore were sitting right there. But let's get to know Toney. Out of high school, he's rated a 3-star recruit. Got scholarship offers from Georgia Tech, South Carolina, Alabama, South Alabama, and Florida. He eventually decided to go to Florida. His freshman year, he caught 15 passes for 152 yards and ran 14 times for 120 yards and a touchdown. His sophomore year, he caught 25 passes for 260 yards and 1 touchdown and ran 21 times for 240 yards. In his junior year, he caught 10 passes for 194 yards and 1 touchdown and rushed 12 times for 59 yards. In his final year in college, he broke out with 70 receptions for 984 yards and 10 touchdowns and rushed 19 times for 161 yards and a touchdown. He also returned the ball 11 times for 139 yards and 1 touchdown. On his pro day, he ran a 4.39 40-second dash, which is pretty solid. Jumped for 39.5 inches on the vertical jump and 11 feet 4 inches on the broad jump. And did 9 reps on the bench press. So where does Toney fit on the depth chart for the Giants? It was likely a depth addition for the Giants, which is why I didn't like the pick. Galladay, Sterling Shepard, and Darius Slayton, all of the starting gigs basically lined up. Now it is possible Toney steals the 4th spot away from John Ross, a wide receiver from the Bengals who the Giants picked up in free agency. All in all, not a great selection.
With the 50th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Azeez Ojulari, linebacker, Georgia.
As much as I was upset with the Toney selection, Ojulari was an amazing selection. He was among the people I thought was a first-round pick that somehow slipped in the second round, like Merrig and Owusu Koromoa. Ojulari was an amazing player in college and has tremendous value. So let's get to another defensive lineman from Georgia. Ojulari was born and raised in Georgia and was ranked as a 4-star prospect coming out of high school. Ojulari decided to stay in his home state of Georgia. He redshirted the 2018 season. In 2019, he started 13 of the 14 games and ended the season with 36 tackles, 16 solo tackles, 5.5 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. This is a pretty solid season, but his third year at Georgia was amazing. In his senior season, he racked up 31 total tackles, 22 solo tackles, 2 pass deflections, 8.5 sacks, and 4 forced fumbles. As I said before, steal at number 50. Weirdly enough, the Giants have him listed at linebacker in their updated depth chart. I've never seen Ojulari take a snap at linebacker. I could have missed a play or two, but I don't believe Ojulari played linebacker in college. Now, the Giants run a 3-4 defense, which means Ojulari will mainly play as a pass rusher. The Dolphins play a similar defense. So Ojulari kind of fits the same role as Jerome Baker, if you can imagine it. Mainly pass rusher that sometimes drops into coverage. Ojulari is slotted to be starter alongside Lorenzo Carter, Reggie Ragland, and Blake Martinez. This Giants defense is going to be a lot of fun next year. Let's go.
In the 2021 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Aaron Robinson, defensive back, UCF.
I love this pick as well, honestly. Offensive weapons like Kenny Galladay, John Ross, Kyle Rudolph were picked up in free agency, while defensive players they didn't seem to be added in free agency. As you can see, if you look at the Giants draft class, they only drafted 2 offensive players and they drafted 4 defensive players. So you can definitely see what the Giants were worried about. I love the Robinson pick because he excelled in UCF, and I think a tough guy like Joe Judge can get the most out of him. Coming out of high school, he was rated as a top 20 athlete prospect. He committed to Alabama but didn't see much action his freshman year, so he transferred to UCF. Sophomore year was also uneventful, but his season as an upperclassman was extremely solid. His junior year, he had 54 total tackles, 39 solo tackles, 10 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble, 3 interceptions. Senior year, he took a step back, and the abridged season, but still amassed respectable 41 total tackles, 31 solo tackles, 6 pass deflections, and 1 forced fumble. At his pro day, he ran 4.39 42-yard dash. Third best time among cornerbacks in this draft class. Jumped 37 inches on the vertical jump and 10 feet 3 inches on the broad jump. Did 15 reps on the bench press. So where does Robinson fit on the depth chart for the Giants? Nobody's beating out James Bradbury for the corner spot. On a side note, who else thinks that Bradbury might be the most underrated corner in the NFL? He was a lockdown corner last year. People just don't mention him when they're talking about top corners in the NFL. I think he could steal a spot away from Adoree Jackson if he plays well, but he won't be handed immediate time on the field. Darnay Holmes and Isaac Yiadom will also fight for some serious time.
In the 4th round of the NFL draft, UNI Football's Ellerson Smith was grabbed with pick 116 by the New York Giants. It's the first time since 2008 UNI had 2 players picked in the same NFL draft.
Now, Smith was definitely an interesting pick. Defensive line was definitely need in the draft, but Smith was a prospect. He's a prospect. He could be great, but he's developmental prospect. He played at Northern Iowa and was coached by Ben Jacobson, not exactly Nick Saban. Coming out of high school, he was not considered to be very good at all. He was rated as a 2-star prospect. Northern Iowa offered him a spot on the roster. Redshirted his first year as a true freshman and didn't see much playing time as a redshirt freshman as well. In his redshirt sophomore season, he finished the season with 19 tackles, 10.5 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks, and a forced fumble. In his redshirt junior year, he racked up 63 total tackles, 21.5 tackles for loss, 14 sacks, and 5 forced fumbles. After the season, he was named first team to the All-Missouri Valley Conference and first team SEC FCS All-American. He opted out of the 2020 season and decided to enter the draft. On his pro day, Smith ran a 4.78 second 40-yard dash, jumped for 41.5 inches on the vertical jump, and 10 feet and 7 inches on the broad jump. Did 26 reps on the bench press. As I said before, Giants run a 3-4 defense, which makes it more difficult for defensive linemen to see the field. Leonard Williams is a great pass rusher, and Dexter Lawrence, his first-round pick, you can see growing. So Smith will be competing against B.J. Hill, a 2018 third-round pick from NC State. Smith definitely provides some depth, but I feel like this was a pick for more long-term success, which makes it a little bit tougher to grade.
To bring some special teams tape to the film, to the field. I'm gonna bring a lot of explosive plays. But my priority right now is getting a playbook, getting on special teams, and dominating.
I really didn't like this pick at all. I was, in fact, vehemently against it. I didn't do a live stream on day 3, but I was sitting at home watching it, and I'm like, oh my god, horrible pick, Giants. It's not that I didn't like the idea of taking a running back. Saquon hasn't finished the season since his rookie year, and Wayne Gallman did leave in free agency, so a good backup was definitely a necessity. What I didn't like about the pick was the decision to take Brightwell here. Much better running backs like Khalil Herbert from Virginia Tech, Kylan Hill from Mississippi State, Jamar Jefferson from Oregon State, and Jarrett Patterson from Buffalo. We're still on the board at this point. Let's talk about Brightwell. He was a 3-star prospect coming out of high school. I gotta share with you something that I found absolutely hysterical. One of his selling points, I'm not making this up, is he's not a criminal. According to Sports Illustrated, Brightwell has never been arrested, suspended, or put in detention. I wasn't going to assume he was a criminal. Now I don't know. Why is this in his background? Anyways, Brightwell didn't see any playing time in 2017. For most of his career, Brightwell actually served as a backup to now Patriots running back J.J. Taylor. 2018, he had arguably his best season. That year, he ran 91 times for 525 yards for 3 touchdowns. Not bad for a secondary option. In 2019, he took a bit of a step down with only 390 yards on 66 attempts for 5 touchdowns. He also added a new dynamic to his game as a receiving threat, catching 4 passes for 59 yards and a touchdown. In 2020, he had his worst season. Taylor entered the draft the year before, and Brightwell suddenly became the number 1 option. That year, he had 88 carries for 390 yards and 1 touchdown. He also had 13 receptions for 53 yards. His pro day stats are a little inconsistent. His 40-yard dash was in the 4.3 range. You can't find an exact number on it. At least I couldn't. He also had a vertical jump of 34.5 inches and a broad jump of 9 feet 10 inches. And did 17 reps on the bench press. Now, Brightwell obviously isn't going to take Saquon's job. He's too big and too explosive to replace with a guy like Brightwell. The real question is, can he take over the Wayne Gallman role? Gallman was pretty solid last year, taking over for Barkley. Brightwell's good enough to beat out Booker in my mind, but I still didn't like the selection.
All right, Giants draft cornerback. If with the finish off their draft class, Oklahoma State wrote Darius Williams.
Now, Williams wasn't a bad decision at all in the 6th round. Corners was a need, which is why they drafted Robinson. Williams was a 3-star prospect coming out of high school. By the way, Rodarius is the brother of Greedy Williams, so take that with a grain of salt. 2016, he redshirted his true freshman year. He started 4 straight years in college. In 2017, he had 44 total tackles, 36 solo tackles, and 10 pass deflections. 2018, he had 49 total tackles, 40 solo tackles, 8 pass deflections, and 2 interceptions. In 2019, he had 58 total tackles, 48 solo tackles, and 6 pass deflections. In his redshirt senior season, he had 18 total tackles, 13 solo tackles, 7 pass deflections, and 1 forced fumble. Now, that last season might not seem as good as the others, but numbers are deceiving. His redshirt senior season, he only allowed 9 completions the entire season. He was a lockdown corner last year, and I'm excited to see if his game transitions to the NFL. That year, he was named 2nd team All-Big 12. At his pro day, he ran 4.5 40-yard dash, jumped for 36.5 inches on the vertical jump, and 10 feet and 3 inches on the broad jump, and did 14 reps on the bench press. Rodarius is a pretty good decision in the 6th round. Rodarius will be fighting for a roster spot, and I think it's quite possible he makes it past guys like Holmes and Needham. Let's get into grading this thing. We're going to go through it by player. What grade GGB going to give him? Who knows? We're going to figure out in a couple, I think in about a minute maybe. I didn't love the Toney selection. I said it before. I'll say it again. There were better players on the board. There were better wide receivers on the board. And I don't think it was necessary to trade down. Although I do understand trading down. You got some great value for trading down. But you didn't fill the need at protecting Daniel Jones. And you didn't take a receiver like I thought this was going to be better, like Rondale Moore or Rashad Bateman. But, like Toney is a player, but that selection's not going to get high marks for me, considering there are better receivers on the board. Second and third round picks of Azeez Ojulari and Aaron Robinson were great selections. Honestly, I cannot say enough about these 2 players. Great players. This is, honestly, I was excited. As a football fan, it's fun to watch the Giants be good, and I think these 2 players will definitely make an impact a rookie year. Their 4th round pick, Ellerson Smith, is a little bit of a project, so I understand. I understand the selection. There's definitely some raw talent there, but it's really raw. I feel like he's gonna need at least a year of basically not seeing any field time and just learning behind guys like Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence. I could see him getting involved, maybe just a little bit, but this is more of a long-term addition, so I don't know exactly how to grade that because I'm mainly looking at this year, so it's a net negative for me. The Brightwell selection in the 6th round, I'm split on the 6th round selections. Brightwell is a guy I was very mad about. You can hear it in my rant a few minutes ago. I didn't like the Brightwell selection at all, so that's going to get very low grades for me. And then finally, the other 6th round pick, Darius Williams, I think was a pretty good selection in the 6th round, if I'm not going to lie. So what am I going to give the Giants? I'm going to give the Giants a B-, and here's why I give them a B-. If you were just looking at 2 of the players individually, or maybe even 3 players, if you look at the Kadarius Toney selection, if you look at the Ellerson Smith selection, and you look at the Gary Brightwell selection, that is D. Those are D selections for me. But I think you got some great value in guys like Azeez Ojulari, a guy that I think could have gone in the 1st round. That bumped it up to like a C, and then adding Aaron Robinson, I got to C+, and then Rodarius Williams made it a B-. B- is the grade. Let me know in the comment section, all you angry Giants fans. I think you had a really good draft. But let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. This is GGB saying adios, amigos.